It's another video. Literature lovers slash students that need to pass an exam. This is another video on a famous friendship that's turned sour. Friendship between two Thanes, one who is now a king, and one who is, as we'll see, very suspicious of his quote-unquote friend slash king who he has to pay. Be careful how he talks to, as we'll see. Okay, so we're going to be talking about the September 2015 Edexcel questions, but feel free to transfer what I will say about constructing PEE paragraphs and good, clear, analytical points about the question that you've been asked into other examination boards like AQA. Okay, let's go ahead and read this. So you should spend about 55 minutes on this section. Okay, so you have two questions, an A and a B. So that leaves us, let's say, 20 minutes for both, 40 minutes with 5 to 10 minutes to read and 5 to 10 minutes to read over our answer. Okay, that's, you might say that's not always how it goes ahead, but that's what we should shoot for as an ideal. Okay, let's read this. In this extract, Banquo talks to Macbeth, who is now king. Okay, enter Banquo alone. So alone, immediately, we know it's a soliloquy. He's talking to us about his thoughts and feelings. He's really talking to himself, but the conceit, the setup, is that he's talking to the audience. So, thou hast it now, you have it now, King, Cawdor, Glamis, all, as the weird women promised, and I fear thou playest most foully for it. Yet it is said it should not stand in thy posterity, but that myself should be the root and father of many kings. If there come some truth from them, as upon thee, Macbeth, their speeches shine, why by the verities on thee make good, why they not be my oracles as well, and set me up in hope, but hush, no more. Trumpet fanfare, enter Macbeth as king, Lady Macbeth, Lennox, Ross, lords and attendants. Here's our chief guest, Lady Macbeth. If he had been forgotten, it had been as a gap in our great feast, and all thing unbecoming. Tonight we hold a solemn supper, sir, and I'll request your presence. Let your highness command upon me, to which my duties are with the most indissoluble tie forever knit. Ride you this afternoon? Aye, my good lord. We should have your else desired your good advice, which still hath been both grave and prosperous in this day's council, but will take tomorrow. Is it far you ride? As far, my lord, as will fill up the time twixt this and supper, between now and supper. Go not my horse, the better I must become a borrower of the night for a dark hour or twain. Fail not our feast. My lord, I will not. Alright, what's going on there then? Well, let's unpack the language, because it's obviously at a distance from us. We don't talk like this in contemporary English. So let's make sense of this. It's Shakespeare's writing in the early modern periods, so 16th and late 16th and early 17th century, but the dramatic action in Macbeth is set within an earlier time of Scottish history in the 11th century, the 11th century or the 12th century. But they're talking obviously as Shakespeare, as in early modern English. So Banquo is saying he fears his friend. He fears what his friend has done to become king. I fear thou playest most foully for it. For becoming king, he suspects that Macbeth has been instrumental, being a key part in killing Duncan. As the weird women predicted that you will become Thane of Cawdor and Thane of Glamis, and the king. It's come to pass. Yet it is said it should not stand in thy posterity. So for posterity, it should not stand forever. That me myself shall be the root and father of many kings. My sons shall be king of Scotland, in other words. And Macbeth knows this as well, because he was there. They were both there when the weird women, the witches, predicted both of these things. Okay? So Banquo is saying, if it is true, it is the veritas meaning truth in Latin, if it is true that one of them should come to pass, why not the other? So may not they be my oracles as well? May not an oracle in ancient Greek drama is a figure who has great powers of foresight, let's say, and set me up in hope. So I'm going to be cautiously optimistic that you're not going to be king forever, but I'm going to be quiet because you're entering, and I have to be respectful to you. So he is saying, with the most indissoluble tie forever knit. He's just said, the tie will one day be dissoluble. It will dissolve. Perhaps if I shall be the root and father of many kings. However, Banquo is being very formal and cold. Perhaps, maybe not cold, but formal certainly. And Macbeth he's being curious. He's asking, where is it far you ride? And Banquo is saying, as far as it will take me the remainder of the day and to supper to get there and back, and it may be dark when I get there. So fail not our feast, my lord, I will not. So Macbeth is being in return quite polite, there doesn't seem to be a hint of suspicion or malice that is grave, kind of, there doesn't seem to be any evil plans afoot. Okay, so let's talk about how we would go about answering this. So as I said, we should sequence these points one by one. We should go from beginning to end, with everything in between. So what I mean by that is we should have start at the beginning and finish at the end. Basically, let's look at the content, the indicator content from Edexcel. I think this is actually, as it goes, a very good plan of how you should actually begin. You should have the key quotes, the key sequence of how you begin and end. So we know that Banquo is suspicious of his friend, and as revealed in his soliloquy. A soliloquy is the setting in which something is spoken is hugely instructive for how you should think about it. So it is in private, but obviously the conceit is that he speaks the soliloquy to the audience, and he knows that thou hast what he wants. Macbeth has the kingship that he sought, but Lady Macbeth was a bit more decisive and cutthroat for, and I fear that thou playest most foully for it. So I fear you've played really unethically, and you've killed Duncan, our king. We were both thanes, but you've really stepped up and got what you wanted. And Macbeth he enters to the sound of trumpet fanfare. A self-confident king is another way of saying that. Okay, so he's revealed by the royal we. Tonight we hold him solemn supper, sir, and we should have desired your good advice. He's treating him as a confidant, someone that gives and receives advice. But as we will see, as we should know, in the next scene, when Banquo leaves, Macbeth is going to hire the murderers because he fears Banquo. He fears Banquo. He fears Banquo's noble stature. He knows that Banquo is a threat to him, as revealed in the prophecy on the heath by the witches. And both men were there. So Banquo's attitude towards Macbeth is formal. I don't know if I'd say cold completely, but it is formal. Let your highness, my duties are with most indissoluble tie forever knit. But hang on, Banquo said, I should be the root and father of many kings. So one day, my sons will be kings of Scotland, and it should not stand in thy posterity. There's your quote. So your quotes are only as long as the point you're making, but at this level, at this point, you're describing. So let's have a look at what this description looks like. It's not evaluation, you're not building and you're not analyzing, but you have to start off describing before you analyze. Think about it as a pyramid. Without the bottom of the pyramid where description is, you can't go ahead and do the real top-heavy work of evaluation. So let's just look at Act 3 of Macbeth as how we begin here. In the castle of Forres, so that information is not given, so it's good to be aware of where things are. It's just at Macbeth's castle, but the setting is important. It shows you really know your play. It begins with a set of private admissions. So private admissions is the soliloquy, is another way of saying that. Really is good if you can translate the language accurately. So soliloquy is just another way of saying it's a private speech by the Thane Banquo. He recognizes the ethical cost. He recognizes that Macbeth, has acted unethically. Is a simpler way of saying that. For his crown, for the crown, for his kingship, thou playest most foully for it. Okay, so when we have that apostrophe, it just means there's a dropped I. Don't be intimidated by it. It's all good. We should say it. And yet, having been present on the heath with Macbeth when the weird women presented their prophecy, Banquo is aware that it is he who will be the root and father of many kings. So speech marks. I should have that in speech marks as well. So watch out for speech marks and quotation marks. Speech marks because it's spoken by Banquo. It's a play. It's not. We're not quoting the work of another critic or anything like that. So it's spoken. If the first prophecy in which Macbeth has become king has come to pass, come to actuality, he reasons why it should not be the case that his should too. May they not be my oracles as well, and set me up in hope? Why should I not be hopeful, cautiously optimistic or hopeful? He's basically saying. However, we should add that. However, Banquo conceals his ambitions, so his hopes, you should say. He's not actively. Banquo is not actively seeking to. He doesn't want to get his son killed. We know he has a son, and his son will escape in the scene in which he will return to the castle later. The murderers will ambush them and try to kill them as King Macbeth and his retinue enter. So his retinue is his kind of royal posse. Is another way of saying that. Maybe the language is unnecessarily complicated, so we could just say as King Macbeth enters. Okay. Macbeth, for his part, treats Banquo with superlative epithets, so the highest praise. Okay, epithets means labels. Superlative means highest. Our chief guest, my bestest friend at my dinner table. I need you there. But Banquo also pays it back or reciprocates, is another way of saying that. My duties are with most indissoluble tie forever knit. And we should have these slashes here because that's how the line breaks. Okay, so whenever the line breaks, here, you break. You have a slash. That's just the way we show that. This tie will be violently severed later. As Banquo approaches the castle for supper, he's just been invited to with the murderers. And they're literally called murderers that Macbeth has hired. More to the question, is Banquo displaying unnecessary sycophancy? Is he being unnecessarily kiss-arsey, shall we say? Kind, praiseworthy, maybe. But sycophancy is the precise sort of trying to butter up his king. Or is it, we're posing a question, is it just the thing that you do to your king, that you must do to your king? Macbeth, we can look at, for comparison, we can look at the way Macbeth was with King Duncan. And Macbeth was quite polite, really. But he wasn't like this. So we can tell that Banquo's being quite excessively formal. And we can make this point, actually. So you could say compared with Macbeth's speech with Duncan, Banquo is being unnecessarily formal with King Macbeth. Either way, both men are aware of the prophecy that was announced on the heath, and the formal kind of politeness of the court politics is concealed, but it does conveniently conceal their mutual suspicion of one another. So they really are suspicious of one another, but you wouldn't get the sense if you didn't know the play. So this is a great kind of question extract for tripping up students, I would say, who don't really know what's going to happen. But what is going to happen, or as we should know, as Banquo leaves, he's going to have a soliloquy of his own, and he's going to tell us that he fears Banquo. Our fears in Banquo stick deep, and in his royalty of nature reigns that which would be feared. 'Tis much he dares. So he's willing to take risks, and his mind never stops working. He thinks too much. He's a threat. He has the wisdom to act bravely, but also safely. I'm not afraid of anyone but him, and that dauntless temper of his mind, he hath a wisdom that doth guide his valour. Okay, Right. So we should add in the next scene, as Banquo leaves, sorry, Macbeth will have a soliloquy of his own, right, in which he admits his fears about Banquo, right, about what? Right, okay. We might not know quotes off the top of our head, so it stands to reason that what we should have when we go into an exam is not just a scene by scene understanding of what happens, but we should also have quotes on flashcards, some important quotes. This is actually by far the most important of the soliloquies. Soliloquies are very important in this play because this is a play about deception. So it stands to reason that the soliloquies will reveal much about how each of them thinks about each other. The soliloquy from Lady Macbeth about mortal spirits unsex me here, about her own kind of ruthless drive is very important as well, but not in this question necessarily. So if it's a question about Banquo and Macbeth, then we need to know about those two men. As Banquo leaves, Macbeth will have a soliloquy of his own, which he emits fears about his friend who is a match for his crown. If we don't know any quotes, don't make up any quotes, but we should have some quotes. Okay, shall we? He have the wisdom that doth guide his valour to act in safety. So our fears in Banquo stick deep, and his royalty of nature reigns in that which would be feared. So that's the key idea. I fear Banquo. 'Tis much he dares. Okay. And it would be super impressive for the examiner that you know how to cite the scene and line. So it's obviously 3-1, but it is also line, so L dot 50 1 2 3. Okay, so we might do 51 53, and that's how we cite. I obviously haven't done it here, and I should put that in speech marks because that's what you do. Macbeth will strike decisively there we go, in this scene to prevent the other half of the witch's prophecy from taking place. In hiring the murderers to kill Banquo and his son when they return. This is why Macbeth, you could say, asks, how far are you travelling? When will you return? Okay, so this sets us up nicely for question B, when we're asked, in this extract, Macbeth tricks Banquo into revealing his plans. Explore the importance of deceit elsewhere in the play. In your answer, you must consider where deceit is shown, how deception affects those involved, and you must refer to the context of your play in your answer. However, I'm going to leave section B, question B I should say, for next time, but this has been question A, and I hope you found it very helpful. So let's just to recap, you need description before you can evaluate or analyze. Before you can get to the higher grade stuff, you need to just basically have an understanding of how people are talking to each other. What is the relationship like between these two characters? They were friends. They're not really friends anymore. So we have the point. The point is, the point is basically they are acting formally to each other, acting seemingly friendly and polite to each other. However, as we can see through the fact that Banquo's language is excessively formal, something is going on that we should be aware of. So this has been an answer, perhaps not the longest answer, and perhaps it could be a longer answer, but it will go for it will kind of get you a higher level grade, I think. It needs to be evaluative. It needs to talk about language, form and structure, and perhaps I haven't talked enough about form and structure. So in my next answer, I'm going to talk a lot about, I'm going to try and hit these. I want it to be something that blends together nicely and evaluates, and I want it to be something that talks about language, form and structure very nicely and its effect on the reader. And I want it to be something that has relevant subject terms as well, and used correctly, and to emphasize what are really my points. Okay, I hope this has been helpful, but I also recognize that there is much work to be done and many places where I need to improve. But I hope you found this very helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for your time.